a Tucker Carlson unfiltered. This is a guy that grew up in Washington, grew up around the swamp, the establishment, was deep into it, and he understands it pretty much, probably better than almost everyone else.
Probably.
Actually, Will, can you pull up that one clip? I want to watch this one clip. I call this his Tucker Carlson's aha moment.
Oh, okay. Aha moment.
Yeah, we may have watched this one before, but I just want to bring it up for this episode.
Media, like that is a big part of the revelation that's changed my life. Is the media are part of the control apparatus. Like there's no, yeah, I know, because you're younger and smarter, and you're like, yeah. But what if you're me and you spent your whole life in that world, and to look around and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow. Not only are they part of the problem, but I spent most of my life being part of the problem, defending the Iraq War. Like I actually did that. Can you imagine if you did that?
Well, what do you think? What is one of your biggest regrets in your career?
Oh, defending the Iraq War.
That is it?
Well, I've had a million regrets, not being more skeptical, calling people names when I should have listened to what they were saying. Look, when someone makes a claim, there's only one question that's important at the very beginning, which is the claim true or not? So I say, you committed murder, or you rigged the last election. Before you attack me as a crazy person for saying that, maybe you should explain whether you did it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for too long, I participated in the culture where I was like, anyone who thinks outside these pre-prescribed lanes is crazy, is a conspiracy theorist. And I just really regret that. I'm ashamed that I did that. And partly it was age, partly it was the world that I grew up in. So when you look at me and you're like, yeah, of course they're part of the means of control, I'm like, that's obvious to you because you're 28, but I just didn't see it at all. And I'm ashamed of that.
Isn't that what the media tries to do, though?
It's their only purpose.
Right.
They're not here to inform you, really. Even on the big things that really matter, like the economy and war and COVID and like things that really matter that will affect you. No, their job is not to inform you. They are working for the small group of people who actually run the world. They're their servants. They're their Praetorian Guard. And we should treat them with maximum contempt because they have earned it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some, I think it's probably clips like this that got him canned.
I call that his Jerry Mcguire moment. Remember in the beginning of Jerry Mcguire, he can't sleep at night. And he's like, I have an epiphany. We need to be better to our athletes. We need to put them first instead of our own personal interest, and consider their benefit and how do we make their lives better instead of how do we make more money on them. And he went in there and he said, who's coming with me?
Exactly.
And that one person left with him because his executive producer, one person actually left with Tucker.
So what's so interesting, I think he's in his 50s now, right?
53 or something around there.
Okay, so he's in his 50s. What I really appreciate about that video clip, Matt, is the fact that whether he's honest or not, we'll never know. But he's willing to at least communicate the concession that he, in true naivete or ignorance, truly didn't know that he was part of the machine, which I can really appreciate. And some of the language he used here is that we should treat them with maximum contempt. I think he is really woken up. And so I think he's clearly had a moment, some come to Jesus moment where he's just like, I'm part of the problem now, which if we can extrapolate just out even one more level, I really appreciate because he acknowledged that the 28-year-old in the room already knows that the mainstream media is a propaganda arm of the government. What's so fascinating to me at this other abstraction is how many people in the world today still don't know this. That, to me, is insanity when we can be in this echo chamber, and maybe it's just because we seek out these clips, or maybe it's part of our matrix and we're suggested these clips, fair enough. But like, Tucker Carlson is a mainstream media talking head. So for him to say, I'm part of the problem, I'm part of the propaganda arm of the government, we're not here to inform you, we're here to tell you, man, that's why he got canned. Right?
I mean, there was something so honest and raw about that. To take accountability, to show regret, show remorse, to have that self-reflection of what he was doing in his past, and almost giving an indicator of what he wants to do moving forward. And people maybe didn't like that. actually on Sunday, 60 Minutes did a episode or did a segment on Ray Epps. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
So it was a 20-minute fluff piece of how Ray Epps' life was ruined by Tucker Carlson,
Oh, really?
that he was scared for his life,
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh,
that he was not instigating anything, and that he was actually, there to support and be a part of the day, and that he was actually trying to stop people from going in.
really?
And the interviewer was like, yeah, that makes sense. Right? Just a big jerk off session, right?
Absolutely.
And I bet you I'm just totally thinking out of my head. I bet you Tucker was like, fuck this guy. I'm going to do a clip. I'm going to do a segment on him on Monday. Rudolph Murdoch was like, after the whole Dominion thing and they got the lawsuits going with all these, they're like, no, you're not. And he's like, no, don't tell me what to do.
Do you think it's because that Tucker Carlson has kind of built up this callus of what the talking heads want him to talk about, and he's kind of going off script, and it's been this kind of progression over time? Or do you think it's just because of the timing of what's going on in the political arena, the social arena, that they just said enough is enough?
I think he's been towing the line with the January 6th coverage and footage.
He's been speaking pretty hard about that stuff.
He's very against that. He goes really hard against the vaccines. He's very anti what happened with the vaccines. He believes that there's a lot of injury out there, and vaccines are related to it. He's been very vocal about that on his show. He is extremely against the war in Ukraine because he sees all the propaganda and all the money and all the question marks. He's really big on the Nord Stream pipeline and how, allegedly the Biden administration blew that thing up, and it doesn't make sense that Russia would blow up their own pipeline.
We totally blew it up.
But these are things that mainstream media does not talk about, nor are they allowed to talk about. And he's been pushing hard on these very controversial issues.
Yeah, well, just like he said, he knows, and I love the fact that he readily admitted this, that, and you and I knew this for a long time, is that the mainstream media is not there to inform. They're there to propagandize. They're there to tell a message, a narrative, and most of it's about control and fear, right? Fear porn. Let's be honest. Like, one of the best ways to control anyone is two things: demoralize them or put them in a state of fear, right? When you have a demoralized population, you have a population that's in fear, they're easy to control, they're easy to maneuver, they're easy to manipulate, right? And I think Tucker Carlson's kind of getting tired of that. I since he's in his 50s, I have to imagine he's probably hit a point where, from a wealth perspective, a life perspective, his kids are out of school. I think he's an empty nester as well. And like, he has to have this like moment of consciousness, a moment of conscience, where it's just like,
His wake-up call moment.
yeah, do I really want to continue to spit in this evil and spit in this toxicity, or do I want to have a spine? Do I want to have some sort of legacy that I can truly be proud of? I think maybe this is the moment when he's in his mid-50s where he's trying to finally just being like, screw it, enough is enough. Let me just spit the truth the way it is.
Because I've heard that his contract is approximately $25 million a year.
Daggone, for a talking head. He literally just reads scripts off the teleprompter.
Correct.
It's amazing.
$25 million a year is what he gets paid. And he just re-upped, I think, 2 years ago.
Oof.
So he had maybe 2 or 3 years left in his contract
Daggone.
for them to fire him. And I also read that he found out 10 minutes prior to the official statement going out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it really was like
It was like, he's gone.
wow.
I don't know what led up to that day, but he found out on Monday.
I think it's going to be really interesting to dig into kind of how that happened, and who knows what really happened. But I think we're going to start seeing some of the layers of the onion peel off, and we're going to hear about some of the inner rumblings. I was browsing Twitter earlier today, and I already saw that there was a couple staffers who are saying that he made a toxic workplace or something like that. Is that just the usual hit pieces coming out? Is that standard fare?
I think
par
so.
for the course?
He can't speak. He doesn't have a voice currently because he's probably legally obligated to stay quiet. And then they roll out the machine. Tucker Carlson, bad.
Orange man, bad.
Yes.
Tucker Carlson, bad. They have to create a meme for that because the left can't meme. So let me ask you a question. If you were in his position, where would you go next?
So multiple options. One would be to go to another independent media group, maybe something like a Daily Wire, who I believe is going after him.
Do you think I think he's too much of a gravitational force to go to a Daily Wire. As legitimate as Daily Wire is, it definitely is a younger demographic because the hosts are a younger demographic. And so I almost feel like he would be a legacy anchor that would not be fit and form with kind of the culture there. You correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I don't know if that would it be where he would go, but I think they are actively going after him.
If I were them, I would actively go after him.
Rumble is probably actively going after him as well to do an exclusive. I watched a clip with Patrick Bet David, and they said they would totally bring in Tucker.
Oh yeah,
And they're pretty big now, Valuetainment. He could also go the independent route, start his own podcast.
I can see him doing that.
Maybe he gets to deal with Spotify,
Maybe bigger than Joe Rogan.
or maybe similar. I don't know if he has Joe Rogan numbers.
You don't think so?
He does about 3 to 3.5 million live viewers,
Oh, Joe Rogan crushes that.
but that's live viewers. That's not including YouTube, post, people who watch it online, etc. Right? These are live TV viewers, which I think is a lot.